In the year 1887, in a town called Transylvania, all the people gathered together to kill a scientist. That scientist had created a monster, one that was made by combining the bodies of 7 dead people. A doctor named Frankenstein had brought that monster to life. When all the townspeople came together to kill him, Count Dracula arrived at Frankenstein's place. Dracula had been using Frankenstein all along, and through him, this monster had been created. Now Dracula had come to take the monster with him. He wanted to use this technology to bring his children back to life. When Frankenstein said, "I won't let you do that," Count Dracula killed him. Frankenstein's assistant, Igor, sold himself out to Count Dracula. While Dracula was busy killing Frankenstein, the monster escaped from there and attacked Dracula. He carried Frankenstein's dead body out of the building. As he was running away, all the townspeople started chasing him. Count Dracula emerged again from the flames. Killing him was nearly impossible. When Frankenstein's monster reached the wine mill, the townspeople gathered and started throwing fire at it. As the fire spread, Frankenstein's monster stood above and screamed loudly. Everyone saw him and became terrified. Right then, the townspeople noticed some vampires flying toward them. To save their lives, everyone fled from that place. The entire wine mill burned down and was destroyed. Frankenstein's monster fell underneath it. When Dracula arrived there with his 3 vampire wives, he screamed and began to cry. A year after that incident, we see our hero Van Helsing in Paris. A monster was killing people and fleeing. Van Helsing entered an old building in that city to kill the monster. The monster came in front of Van Helsing and said, "It's impossible to kill me." The monster was huge and beast-like. When Van Helsing tried to shoot it, the monster began to run away. In the middle of the fight, the monster threw Van Helsing onto the top of the building. Then, climbing up himself, he tried to throw Van Helsing down. As Van Helsing was falling, he shot an arrow tied to a wire and tried to pull the monster off the building. But the monster was very strong. While trying to pull Van Helsing up, the monster's foot slipped and he fell. Right before dying, he turned into a human. After hitting the ground, he died. Many police officers gathered there and, seeing Van Helsing, started saying, "You're a murderer." Van Helsing left that place and went to Vatican City in Rome. The priests there told him, "You reveal yourself to too many people. That goes against our rules. People don't know that monsters live among them. It is our duty to protect humanity." They took him to a hidden underground base where Van Helsing was given a mission. "You're leaving for Romania today. For 400 years, Count Dracula has been slaughtering people there. It's time for you to stop him." Van Helsing stared at Dracula in shock. This Dracula's story began 400 years ago. He was the son of a king named Valerius the Elder. Dracula had killed every member of that family one by one. Now only Prince Velkin and Princess Anna remained, and Van Helsing had to protect them. He was given an old piece of paper, and it was said that the image on it matched the one on his ring. He had lost his memory many years ago, and by going there, he might regain it. Then, a monk began handing Van Helsing different weapons to fight Dracula. After receiving everything, Van Helsing said, "You have to come with me to protect me." On the other side, Prince Velkin had hung himself up as bait to capture a werewolf. When the werewolf approached to attack him, he untied the rope and leapt upward, hanging in the air. The werewolf kept trying to grab him. Just then, to save her brother, Princess Anna rushed to the scene. When the werewolf tried to attack her, it got trapped in a cage the moment it touched the ground. Prince Velkin was still hanging beside the cage. As Anna searched for Velkin's silver bullet, the cage broke and fell, and the werewolf escaped. It began chasing Anna to kill her. She ran up to the top of a mountain, and at the last moment, Prince Velkin saved his sister and fell into the water with the werewolf. Anna believed her brother had died. Meanwhile, crossing cities, seas, and mountains, Van Helsing finally arrived in Transylvania. There, the townspeople surrounded them because they were afraid of newcomers. Princess Anna arrived and said, "I want to see your faces." When Van Helsing replied, "I'm here to help you," Dracula's 3 wives suddenly attacked and tried to kill Anna. As they tried to fly away with Anna, Van Helsing pulled her down. He kept shooting at them, but no arrows hit. They were too fast. At one point, Anna entered a house to save herself. Inside, a vampire named Alira was already waiting for her. Meanwhile, another vampire named Mariska was preparing to kill Van Helsing. When 2 vampires surrounded Anna and tried to drink her blood, Van Helsing ran in, dipped an arrow in holy water, and shot Mariska. Her body burned and she began to die. The other 2 vampires escaped. Everyone came and said, "You killed Mariska." Then Princess Anna arrived and told them, "This man's name is Van Helsing." Everyone knew that name. Elsewhere, Count Dracula woke from his sleep, mourning the death of his wife. He cried and ordered Igor to continue all preparations. After giving the order, Dracula and his 2 wives entered a painting. Princess Anna took Van Helsing to her castle. Van Helsing tried to convince her, "I've come to help you." When Anna replied, "I don't need help," and tried to leave alone, Van Helsing sprayed her with sleep gas and put her to sleep. Later that night, a terrible noise woke Anna. A werewolf tried to attack her in the room. As she tried to escape, she saw her brother. He told her, "I have only a few seconds. I know where Dracula is." Just as he said this, the moon appeared in the sky, and he began transforming into a werewolf again. Anna realized Dracula had turned her brother into a werewolf. Soon, Van Helsing arrived in the room and tried to shoot the werewolf. It jumped out the window and Van Helsing chased it. As Van Helsing came into the town, the werewolf tried to attack him and killed a man. Anna arrived and stopped Van Helsing's shot, allowing the werewolf to escape. Van Helsing said, "He's no longer your brother." Anna replied, "Dracula has the formula to save him. If you really want to help me, then find my brother so we can save him." Van Helsing agreed and started following her brother's trail with her. Meanwhile, Count Dracula was in his Transylvanian castle with Igor and his assistants, building a machine that would bring his children to life. Van Helsing and Anna followed the werewolf's footprints and arrived at the Transylvanian castle. By then, they had already entered the castle. Princess Anna's brother, Prince Velkin, after turning back into a human, was captured by King Dracula and imprisoned inside a machine. From that machine, the corpse of their father was also revealed. Velkin was locked inside the machine and then lifted upward. Meanwhile, Van Helsing and Princess Anna entered the castle and saw strange eggs hanging inside the walls. They realized these were vampire eggs. When vampires have intercourse, they lay around 1 to 150 eggs like these. But all of them remain lifeless because Dracula himself has been dead for over 400 years. Right after Prince Velkin was lifted up, lightning struck him from the sky, sending a kind of heat wave downward. When that wave passed over the eggs, they began to come to life. As Van Helsing and Anna tried to see what was inside the eggs, another heat wave struck and all the baby creatures started hatching and coming out of the eggs. Dracula ordered his 2 wives, "Teach the children how to feed. Take them to the city so they can drink human blood." The 2 vampire wives transformed and flew off with the babies toward the town. Van Helsing came outside and began shooting down the small vampire creatures. Seeing this, Dracula became enraged and descended to fight Van Helsing himself. Van Helsing went into hiding. Meanwhile, those little vampire offspring began attacking people in the city. They picked people up and started drinking their blood. On the other hand, when Van Helsing stabbed Dracula's body with a silver stake, he saw it had no effect. Then he pulled out a cross and tried to burn Dracula, but even that didn't work. Dracula then said to Van Helsing, "Your real name is Gabriel. You may forget your memories, but I can help you get them back. Meanwhile, Anna climbs to the top of the castle to save her brother. But her brother says, "I'm no longer human. Leave this place." He suddenly grabs her face and tries to kill her. On the other side, after saving a city girl, the monk's kindness makes her happy. She asks what she can do in return. The monk whispers in her ear, suggesting she could spend the night with him. Just then, the vampires spot the dying children. Hearing their screams, Dracula becomes distracted. Taking advantage of the moment, Van Helsing tries to escape from the temple. He climbs up, hugs Anna tightly, fires an arrow, and begins to swing into the jungle. But Prince Velkin, now a werewolf, tears the rope, and they swing down into the forest. Velkin falls off the cliff. After all the vampires flee from the city, the girl once again asks the monk how she can help him. The monk repeats his earlier request in a playful whisper. Dracula's 2 wives cry out in grief. Dracula sends his last werewolf to hunt down Anna and Van Helsing and kill them both. While walking together, Van Helsing and Anna enter an old wine mill. The floor suddenly collapses beneath them. They fall and discover a massive underground cave. The next morning, the monk wakes from a nightmare. While wandering the castle, he accidentally uncovers a hidden truth. Only a werewolf can kill Dracula. Van Helsing and Anna regain consciousness and find Frankenstein's monster in the cave. Anna prepares to kill him, but Van Helsing stops her. He can sense who's good or evil by smell, but he smells no evil from the monster. The monster pleads not to be killed, fearing Dracula will use him to revive all his children. Van Helsing realizes the earlier destroyed eggs were only a small batch. There are millions more waiting to be born. Suddenly, the werewolf soldier spots them. Van Helsing and Anna decide to rescue the monster and escape. They place him in a carriage and flee the city. Dracula's wives follow from above. One attacks Van Helsing and throws him down. As he falls, he spots a broken bridge. The horses leap and cross the bridge, but the back half of the carriage breaks off. A vampire opens the carriage door and discovers it's a trap. No monster inside, only bombs. The carriage explodes, and wooden stakes fly into the vampire's body, killing her. Meanwhile, Anna is driving the real monster in another carriage. Van Helsing joins her. The werewolf attacks again, setting the carriage on fire. Van Helsing hangs off the side, nearly falling into the valley. The monk frees the monster's hand. The monster saves Van Helsing by pulling him up. The werewolf climbs onto the burning carriage. As it collapses, they all jump out. Van Helsing fires a silver bullet just in time. Anna sees her brother in human form, dying after the silver shot. She cries over his lifeless body. She notices a werewolf bite on Van Helsing's chest. He has only 48 hours left before turning. Taking advantage of the moment, the last vampire attacks Anna and flies off with her. Van Helsing reaches the city with Frankenstein's monster. The vampire appears and offers a deal. Exchange the monster for Anna. They fix a meeting point. Van Helsing knocks the monster unconscious and hides him in a church. At the meeting place, Dracula dances with Anna. Under his control, she becomes his puppet. He prepares to bite her neck, planning to make her his second bride. Just then, Van Helsing jumps in from above, disguised as a performer. The monk sets Dracula's back on fire. Van Helsing swings up and pulls Anna away. Anna snaps out of the trance and returns to normal. Dracula appears with the captured monster. He screams in agony, chained for the ritual. Everyone in the hall stares at him. All of them are vampires. Van Helsing grabs Anna and escapes. The vampires chase after them. The monk throws a special bomb filled with holy water, a device capable of creating sunlight. They smash through the window and leap out. The bomb explodes. Sunlight floods the hall. All vampires scream and burn, turning into ashes. After falling into the water, they see Frankenstein's monster being dragged away, tied up, and submerged. Van Helsing begins to chase, but a huge iron gate slams shut, blocking the path. Van Helsing promises, "I will come to save you. That's my promise." Van Helsing feels himself growing angrier, slowly beginning to transform into a werewolf. They all return to the Transylvanian castle and discover that Dracula has already taken everything and disappeared to his secret hideout. They wonder where that place could be. The monk says he has researched everything and figured it out. Using a hidden painting in the castle, they realize there's a secret door right inside that very room. They approach the largest map in the room and understand it's not actually a map. It's a door. A missing piece at the bottom of the door matches the piece Van Helsing has. As soon as he places the missing piece, the entire map vanishes with magic, revealing a mirror. Van Helsing steps into the mirror and passes through to the other side. Anna follows him in. They find Dracula's new castle. The monk joins them. Van Helsing grabs Anna and the monk and jumps over a tall gate to get inside. Inside, they discover a massive castle filled with thousands of vampire eggs. They encounter Igor and quickly capture him. They find Frankenstein's monster trapped there. The monster tells Van Helsing that Dracula holds the cure for his werewolf curse. Van Helsing threatens Igor and sends him with Anna and the monk to retrieve the cure. He tells them if they fail, they must use the silver stake to kill him. Before saying goodbye, Van Helsing hugs Anna tightly and kisses her. Dracula is fully prepared to bring life back to his children using Frankenstein's monster. The monster is raised to the top of the castle. When Igor brings Anna and the monk into a separate room, he locks them inside. The cure is stored inside a glass jar filled with acid. Dracula's last vampire wife arrives, but Anna shatters the jar, splashing acid on her. Some acid is poured onto the iron door to melt through it. Anna sends the monk to help Van Helsing. The vampire locks Anna inside the room, extinguishes the flames, and begins playing a deadly game with her. The monk rushes toward Van Helsing with the cure, but Igor attacks him from behind. Van Helsing hurries to free Frankenstein's monster. As he tries to release him, lightning strikes the monster. The first electric wave reaches Dracula's unborn children. Dracula sees Van Helsing freeing the monster and swoops down, throwing him off the platform. The monster tries to escape but finds his leg chained. Another lightning strike hits him, sending a second electric wave that brings all of Dracula's children to life. The monster falls, but he grabs onto a rope and climbs up to the bridge, throwing Igor down from above. As the monster dangles from the rope, the last vampire is about to bite and kill Anna. Frankenstein's monster smashes through the window and bursts into the room. Van Helsing regains consciousness and finds Dracula right behind him. The clock strikes midnight, and Van Helsing fully transforms into a werewolf. Dracula is stunned. An intense battle begins. Dracula fights back, but Van Helsing's werewolf form is far too powerful. Desperate, Dracula tries to escape, but Van Helsing grabs him and slams him back into the room. The vampire attacks Anna again from behind. Just as the vampire is about to kill her, the monk hands her the silver stake. She plunges it into the vampire's body, killing it on the spot. At the same time, Van Helsing is about to kill Dracula, gripping him by the throat. But the moon becomes covered by clouds, and Van Helsing turns back into a human. Dracula says, 400 years ago, you were the one who killed me. You're the reason I sold my soul to the devil and became what I am today. As Dracula tries to finish Van Helsing off, the moon reappears. Van Helsing transforms into a werewolf again, grabs Dracula, bites into his shoulder, and kills him. Dracula screams and dies. With Dracula's death, all his offspring instantly perish. Anna runs into the room to reach Van Helsing, But he, still in werewolf form, attacks her and drags her away. The monk arrives just in time and tries to kill Van Helsing with the silver stake, but Van Helsing stops him. Then they see Anna lying lifeless. The monk breaks into tears. But just before she died, Anna had already injected the cure into Van Helsing's body. Holding Anna in his arms, Van Helsing screams in agony and slowly transforms back into a human. He couldn't hold back the pain. The next day, they arrive at the seashore and burn Anna's body. From a distance, Frankenstein's monster watches with deep sorrow, then slowly walks away into the horizon. As her body burns, Van Helsing looks to the sky and sees Anna's face appear among the clouds. She's now reunited with her family. Anna smiles at Van Helsing, and he smiles back, comforted to know she's at peace. With his monk companion, Van Helsing heads off into the unknown, ready to face new monsters.